Well, now we have someone in the studio with us who is a professional and she's a student at an online college. And we won't say the name of the college she's in, with all due respect. But I will say this, she's been pursuing her online degree for some time now. So we wanted to get the real deal. You know, JB gave us some of it. We're going to get some from, get a perspective from Laura. All right, Laura Stoner, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Hello.
Yeah, and I know that you are pursuing your online degree, is that correct?
Right.
And you have some experience with the online college situation. First of all, tell us, how long have you been working on your online degree?
Well, technically I've been going to a community college as well as an online college.
Okay.
So I could have that community college, you know, legit degree, just in
already
case.
said legit. Yeah.
Just in case, you know, the online thing didn't work out for me.
Yeah. Well, why did you decide to look into the online situation?
The online thing was more of, you know, it was more feasible to my work schedule, my family life, just the money situation. As far the one I'm going to is actually a little cheaper than the one you quoted earlier, but
yeah, we're going to get into that money situation even with what you're talking about here.
But
well, what was the registration process like? How did you?
Basically, I was referred to by someone, a friend of a friend, basically, and I looked it up online. I looked up some reviews, you know, and found some good and bad. Of course, you're going to find that with some places, but mostly good.
Yeah.
So, you know, I called them. They were like, I mean, it was pretty basic, you know, called them. They explained to me everything. I could make payment plans, whatever, and books included, and then, you know, go from there. You work at your own pace.
Well, let me ask you this, because you said you could make a payment plan. Did you have to go the financial aid route? Did you?
No, they didn't offer financial aid.
Okay, okay. So you have
like Central Piedmont would.
Yeah, so you have to having to pay out of pocket on a payment plan.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
That's deep. Was it expensive? I mean, you know, we thrown around some numbers.
Let's just say it was under $1,000.
Okay, $1,000 for what period of time?
You work at your own pace.
So about 6 years?
No. This was like a certification.
Okay.
Oh.
This wasn't a degree.
Okay.
But, you know, like for Central Piedmont, I'm going for a degree.
Yeah, but the online part of it, you're going for a certification.
Right.
What certification are you going?
Medical transcription.
Okay, that was one of the areas that we talked about earlier, the technical areas. When I mentioned that healthcare certification, that was one of the
that 95% rejection rate.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into that in a minute. What are the classes like, though, on the online classes? Well, tell us, because our listeners are interested to hear. Do you have a professor actually online? Are you interfacing with the typing in the computer? What are the classes like?
Well, your professor has a picture in the book.
Okay.
Does it mean that's your real professor? Sometimes I call, make a payment, and they're like, I'm your professor today. So I'm like, okay. So it depends on what day you talk to me, I guess.
That's kind of like one of the Xbox things.
So I'm like, red flag.
This is who you playing against today.
Terrible.
Or Blackberry.
Go ahead, Laura. Go ahead. Don't pay Ken no attention. Go ahead.
Okay, I mean, but are you talking to them, or are you just?
I mean, you know, you have the option to email, to call in.
Okay.
You know, to ask them anything. So, you know, I feel comfortable with that.
Yeah. But what is the class like? Are there moments where you're actually in class, or do you have your curriculum sent to you by email, and then you have to? How does that work?
Basically, you're sent like your first book, and your workbook, which you work through. I mean, basically, you can sit there and do the test. I mean, with the book open.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that's the reason why a lot of the you know, degrees aren't really credible.
Yeah.
You know, because anybody could do that.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. You kind of work at your own pace.
When you're taking a test, is there a time period for you to finish the test, or? I mean, that would be a little bit unfair if you work on it for 3 weeks. Yeah.
You can't do like take 2 days or anything, but I believe it's like an hour.
Like an hour.
Yeah.
And so now, do you have? Well, you, for example, are you satisfied with the way your curriculum has progressed and your test and Really, I want to ask you about your interface with your professors, because it doesn't sound like you have a whole lot. Are you satisfied at this point?
Let's just say well, I've heard a lot of good and bad things as far as that.
Yeah.
So when I called, I actually did get somebody on the phone. When I read a review, they were talking about it was hard to get somebody on the phone. But when I did call, I did get somebody on the phone, and then they were my professor.
Yeah.
So.
And the secretary.
And the secretary, and the building, and you know, they take your
the principal
bill.
for the elementary school.
So I mean, you know.
Late night to janitor.
But when you so you had this interface with your professor. What was that like? Did you get help?
You know, they offered you know, critiques and things of that nature. You know, how to better my scores on some of my tests and my quizzes and things of that nature. But other than that, it's kind of work at your own pace. If you pass, go on to the next thing.
Go to the next thing. All right, how long is it going to take you to obtain that certificate there?
Basically, he's like, what? You asked me about the registration. He asked me, how long do you think, how many hours do you think you can put in one day? And I was like, well, I'm kind of working, doing some other things. I can put maybe 3 hours. You know, and that was probably a little bit over I can put in.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's like, oh, you could be done in 3 months.
Okay.
But, I mean, it all depends on the person, really, you know. And for me, I'm almost done.
Yeah.
And
do you feel comfortable with the curriculum that you've been providing, and are you optimistic that that curriculum might lead to some employment out there?
well, the curriculum that I was provided, the books are kind of outdated.
Yeah.
As far as me going to, you know, a community college around here, from going to that college. That was one of the bad reviews I read.
Yeah.
The books are outdated. And that would probably be my number one thing.
KB, good deal. The surveys were sent out that required the hiring executives to what they call force choose between 3 hypothetical candidates with similar experience, but with different types of bachelor's degrees. And you know, the traditional school, the hybrid, and then the virtual school. And out of 269 surveys, when companies attempted to fill the management entry-level positions in accounting, business, engineering, and information technology, 96% indicated they would choose a candidate with a traditional degree.
Yeah, I tell you, Alex, you know, I have to say this. This is our 1-year anniversary, and we're going to give a big thumbs down.
No,
A big
we're not.
1-year thumbs down. No, I'm just kidding. I tell you, it's something that we'll have to continue to explore here on Law 360. But the online college situation, you really do need to do some exploration before you jump into that.
You certainly do.